had a late night last night, so I've got my sunnies on, right?
There you are. Look at you.
We had a late night last night, so it's like, ooh. This morning came early.
This morning came early anyway, so it's already up at 6:30.
Oh, God, girl, I don't know, burning that candle at both ends, honey.
Straight, getting going.
I'm telling you. No, we had so much fun at Lorena McKenna. It was just, first of all, riding the party bus on the way up and back so that we could hang out together and have nosh and just be like, have wine and like just have the best time, hanging out. And no one had to drive. And we got dropped right at the front door. No one had to hustle to find parking or any of that trash. It was just first class all the way. So that was fantastic. Thank you again. And yeah, what a birthday. Kicking off my birthday with a
damn straight.
This is gonna be a tough birthday to beat, man. I'm telling you. My husband knocked it out of the park with my first gift I already got, which is this stunner of a bracelet in Ethiopian opal, which opal, of course, October babies, right? Opal being the birthstone. So like, I'm just like, oh, anyway. So yeah, and you are you in the thick of it.
I am in the thick of it. And in fact, you are here with me in the thick of it. This is the beautiful and glorious and very fabulous back room of Pentagram, in which I have somebody over there.
Guys, we're backstage at Pentagram. We're backstage at Pentagram. And look, it's Tim Soaring Wolf.
Oh, Tim is here in October doing readings for us, and he's knocking it out of the park.
I forgot to share. Hold on. I need to share this. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, where's everybody in the comments? But I forgot to share it. Hold on. October.
Me too. Hold on. Hold the phone.
Psychic T. All right, give us a second, everybody.
I don't know why it's going on YouTube when I wanted it on Facebook.
It's definitely it's definitely going on YouTube. That's one of the places it's going.
I mean, it's on Facebook.
It's on the YouTube.
Book of Faces. So if you're here watching and thanks.
Spirit communication. This should be an amazing episode. So we don't want to lose this. This is like, we want people to be able to get in, and especially if they have questions for Phoenix. So it's like, we definitely want everybody. We want everybody joining us for this one. This is like an amazing topic, especially for October when the veil is thin as we approach the final harvest of Samhain. So we definitely want everybody that can be involved to get involved. And I just want to give a shout out to the artist of my hat. So in case anyone's going, wow, that's a cute little hat. Kevin and I go away every September up to the North Conway area. And because we have a timeshare up there. So we go away and we just do like a power down right before October. And there's this place up there, and there's a bunch of them around. But this one is very special. The League of New Hampshire Craftsmen has several different locations, but this location has amazing artists. And so this is, my hat is made of black and white sheep and lamb's wool and mohair. It's got wool and kid mohair, and it's hand knitted by Donna Wilson. That's her name. Hand knitted and felted by Donna Wilson. So if you go on the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen website, you can take a look at Donna's work. I believe it is posted. And she does some incredible stuff. And I absolutely love the black and brown combo. That's my jam. You saw my Gucci glasses are also that same black and brown. So I'm just like, remember how Sean, speaking of our beloved dead, remember how Sean always said that I was the only witch who could wear brown?
Yes, I do.
So I'm wearing brown, Sean.
Yay. Hello, Linda.
Everybody's popping on now that we've shared it. Everybody's popping on.
So in case you missed it earlier and you weren't here, I would like to show you the beautiful back room.
Branda's asking for Tim.
Yes, come here, Tim.
So y'all know we are actually live in Salem. Here we are.
Look at those
all together.
Yes, we are here. And Tim has been knocking it out of the park with some amazing psychic readings.
It's been amazing.
If you're in the area, get there and get a face-to-face reading with Tim Soaring Wolf.
Salem is amazing. I am still feel like I'm in a dream. The generosity, the kindness, the people, the energy, the spirituality. Salem is, it's been a dream. I don't even think I'll be waking up until I get back to the Southwest, but yes, y'all need to get out here.
Oh my God, Dan, you were there. You got a reading with Tim last night? That's fantastic. Tim, you met Dan.
I did, finally. Dan. Yeah,
we love Dan.
Yes, it was awesome. Well, thank you, guys. I'll be back in a few minutes.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
What an exciting time.
Amazing October.
From Lorena McKinnon. And, you know, we always wonder where some of my cards that I choose, these mysterious cards that got pulled. Today I was on the phone with Mr. Tim Reagan, a different astrologer, a different Tim. And we were both complaining we were tired. So let us, without further ado, introduce the Four of Swords.
I was just about to say, if you're complaining you're tired, it's going to be the Four of Swords.
Oh my, last night was a well-needed break. Okay. It was a moment of rest. And there it is, the Four of Swords. So wherever you are today, give yourself at least 5 because you might be purely exhausted like me and need to withdraw. Sometimes we need to get the hell away from everyone and check out. It is time. Sometimes when we withdraw, it's not because we're weak. It's because we need to refuel. We need to regain our strength. We need to take a minute, maybe organize that sock drawer, or maybe our car looks like October puked all over it. There might be onion dip all over my car. I don't know where that came. Guys, and some cheese because the dog jumped all over me.
Oh, no.
Where I put my cheese because, ma'am, I dropped my cheese. Listen, it's all about your priorities. We're running on basically fumes right now. So the things that you choose to do, they have to be very select and important because you have to reevaluate our priorities in these moments. But look at that guy. He's chilling. He's taking that freaking dirt nap that some of us really want to take. He's not dead. He feels like he's dead.
You don't want to take a dirt nap. A dirt nap is like actually being dead.
You're actually dying. But hey, this is a time to kind of check out. You know, maybe you need to pull away from people. Maybe they're getting a little too familiar with you. Maybe you're feeling taken advantage of in your love life. And you need to be like, hey, this is what it feels like when I'm gone. You know, because sometimes we try so hard and we're just giving and giving and giving and giving. And you got to hang up those swords to say, maybe not right now. And that kind of happened last night. We all got in our little limo bus and we just said, bye, Salem. Goodbye. We love you. You're still going to be there. Sometimes when we check out, you have to realize that it's not forever, that you need to do it so you can come at the moment stronger, fresher, with clearer words and clearer conviction. Do not feel guilty for a self-care. Self-care is imperative. We need it in order to survive. So take a break. It's okay. Listen, it's a time to gain a little respect for yourself by saying, hey, I can't do this right now. So everybody, it's okay. We have a great show and I don't want to take the whole time talking about this amazing card, but it is amazing card. And I'd like to say, Tim Reagan, you're right. We need to get the hell out and go again and do this. Right, Sandra? We need to chill our roll sometimes.
Whose idea was that though? Who bought you guys the
It was
tickets
great.
for your birthdays? So
Amazing to get.
I was like, yes, you are guys going to take a break right smack in the middle of October and come to Portland, Maine with me. I was like, you are going to take that break and you are going to be able to have a good time. And then you'll feel a little bit more refreshed because you'll take a step back from everything, the goings on at the shops, and you'll be able to step back in a little bit more like you're rejuvenated. And that's,
I feel a little more charged.
Rejuvenating.
Yeah, I feel charged and ready to conquer however many more days we have left. 19, 18, whatever. We've got days.
I know. I've been missing giving you the morning countdown.
Oh yes, I didn't get my morning countdown.
You didn't get your morning
countdown. I didn't know how many days it is until October because I'm in a cloud of I don't freaking know where I am. I know where I am.
Thank you, Branda. I appreciate that. Yes. I adore them, and I know what it's like. It's been more than 20 years of serving all the people that come to Salem for the month of October. Leanne and I have been at this over 20 years, and it's definitely, it takes its toll. We love it, but it does take a lot of energy to provide the services, to provide, what all the things that we do in the month of October to meet the needs of the community at large, and even, people that are just seeing Salem for the first time. And so we've got repeat people that come back every year, but we also have a ton of people, especially this year. Tons of people are coming into my classes and saying, I've never been to Salem before. This is my first experience. And so we feel, and I don't mean to speak for anybody but myself, so I'll just say I feel that it's my duty, and I'm sure Leanne will probably agree, we represent Salem. So it's important to be able to have the energy to, to provide those services and the things that we do, and connect with people and be able to give them a good experience while they're here in my hometown, the city I love. So I feel very strongly that, yeah. And so that's part of the reason why I'm so excited to be doing the Samhain ritual on Gallows Hill on October 31st, with Gypsy Ravish under the banner of the Temple of Nine Wells. And to be able to, and Kevin and I are very excited to help lead that circle, and to provide for the community again. And that's free, everybody. I think, by the way, just going to weigh in. And if you didn't see the soapbox appear, because you can't see me from the waist down, it is firmly under my feet right now. I think it's horrible that anyone is charging money for the Sabbats. In fact, we basically are not supposed to do that. The real witches don't do that. So it's free, guys. So, if you want to come, if you're in the area and you want to come and be a part of an incredibly magical ritual that we are putting together, please feel free to meet us at the top of Gallows Hill on Halloween night. So just had to say that. Wanted to take the time. There won't be a makeup segment in this month because it's more important for me to get that message out. But also, let's just quickly talk about the kind of stones that you would want to use to do what we're about to talk with Phoenix LaFay about, which will be communicating with ancestors, communicating with spirit, communicating with your beloved dead, communicating with ancestors known and unknown, connecting with entities in spirit. So labradorite, you've heard me talk about it a ton of times. Labradorite is going to be the number one stone for communicating with spirit, It's also called spectralite for that very reason, witches often call it spectralite for that very reason. It's amazing at amplifying messages to and from the other side. And so also remember, if you have Awakening the Crystals, Leanne and I wrote in Awakening the Crystals about placement of the stones if you're wearing them as jewelry. When you're trying to hear spirit, wear the stones near your ears. If you're trying to speak with spirit, wear the stones at your throat. Wear both when you're communicating back and forth. Wear both. I actually have a torque that has these two beautiful labradorites that sit like right here, and that's part of when I am speaking to spirit. That's part of that's part of my amplification system. So just imagine it like a beautiful natural bullhorn into the spirit world. So you're definitely going to want labradorite. If you are doing psychic work that has to do with spirit, and you still want a bit of a layer of protection, you still want a bit of a filter, you still want a bit of grounding so you don't get completely carried away, smoky quartz. It is a beautiful light layer, incredible light layer of grounding, but not too much grounding that you can't still communicate with spirit, not so much grounding that you can't receive psychic information. I definitely would not wear hematite. I would not wear the heavier grounding stones when doing work with spirit, because it's going to hamper your ability. I think smoky is the perfect choice for that. If you are communicating with spirit guides, if you're communicating with, with your guides of any kind, celestial beings of any kind, planetary energies of any kind, celestite is going to be my number one. That's my number one pick for that. There are others, of course. There are many others. Some people will favor dumortierite. Some people might favor there's a bunch that people would talk about. And obviously with any psychic work, amethyst is going to help. And clear quartz, of course, is a powerful amplifier. And diamonds. Diamonds, of course, are an amazing amplifier, right? Because they're just like, and they're obviously they're quite valuable, right? So they're a little bit precious. So tasking them to help amplify those messages. You can also do that, especially if you have the diamonds of somebody that's on the other side. Diamonds they wore on their body while they were alive. That's going to be super powerful to connect with your beloved dead. And so since we're talking about this subject, and why are we talking about it? Well, as the final harvest approaches, as Samhain approaches, and the veil is thinning and thinning and thinning, we're connecting more and more with spirit. So let's bring on the author of What Is Remembered Lives, Phoenix LaFay.
Tim? No, Tim's Astro Report?
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I almost completely skipped. I was like, that's just like such a natural transition. I was like, sorry, Tim. I apologize. And here you were getting ready to talk to me about my my equinox, my, what do you want to call it? My eclipse. I'm sorry.
Let me unmute me. Okay. Can you hear me?
We might have to mute.
All right. Well, here we are live from Salem, guys. I am one of the people Sandra talked about, first time here, but we are definitely just wanted to speak first kind of on the state of the world and everything that's happening. But first, I also wanted to say that as far as crystals, I was blown away with Gallows Hill Witchery. Sandra, you guys need to see her for any crystals. I also got the book Awakening the Crystals from them, which is an amazing book. I've already been reading it. Of course, Pentagram for all your magical needs. Literally one of the best shops, if not the best I've seen, of just magical stuff and readings. The readers all there are so amazing, so kind. I really feel like at home. Like I have never been to some place where I've been so quick to consider moving to. But again, just an amazing town. But yeah, there's some tough things happening. with the energy of the world. I mean, it's been 3 years now into the age of Aquarius, so it's still going to be like a kind of many years that we're transitioning to a whole new age. But some of the things we're breaking free from with this age of Pisces is, the watery illusion, some of the deception from media. People are not being so easily deceived about things. But of course, we're also breaking free, in the age of Pisces, where religion had a big factor in the control of the world and public and governments using religion as a way, and that we're breaking free from all that. People are kind of gravitating more towards mysticism, spirituality, free thinking. This is Aquarius, breaking free from those dogma and those ancient religions and that sort of thing. But it's, we're emerging. So a lot of things are coming to the surface. We're emerging from the waters for that breath of fresh air. So it's like really hard to, it's not as, people aren't easily deceived. We get people getting called out in real time now with also the Aquarius technology that's on the rise. So it's just a much different age we're still adjusting to. Now, the other thing we have is, of course, the North Node in Aries, which started in July. And since July, there has definitely been a fiery energy in the sky. I mean, we've seen around the world fires in Greece and Turkey, the worst fire in the Canary Islands in 40 years with Tenerife, and then even in the United States, California, Arizona, and Hawaii. So lots of just fire energy all around the world as well. And with that, this Aries energy is going to reward pioneering, trailblazing, being bold, direct, fighting for what we want, leaving behind that peacemaking energy of Libra, people pleasing, all of those diplomacy tactics we would have used. Now it's more about fighting for what we want. So with that, we were, I was talking with Sandra when I first got here. We were talking about how bringing in the water energy is really going to help with all this fiery energy in the sky. And we just now are moving into Scorpio season. We've got Pisces, Saturn, and Pisces, Mars, and Scorpio. So right now, Mars and Pisces working together is rewarding hard work. So don't give up. But this is a tense season. We've got the eclipse season. So if you are into astrology, your chart, I want you to look at where Libra falls in your chart. That is the solar eclipse this Saturday. And normally new moons, we would want to set intentions or manifest. But in this particular new moon solar eclipse, because it is aligning with the South Node, it really is more about purging something, releasing, letting go of something to really make room for this huge blessing that's coming at the end of the month with the lunar eclipse in Taurus on the 28th. But find Libra in your chart. That's where you may need to purge something, get rid of it to make room for that big blessing. Because in Taurus, it isn't just going to be a spiritual thing. Taurus rules the physical realm, money, all the physical senses. So again, there could be a big financial blessing coming at the very end of the month with a lot of signs. And Taurus, fixed signs in general have had kind of a tough go the past couple of years. This is finally that sigh of relief. If you're Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo, look forward to that release at the end of the month where finally it's, you've been being pushed out of your comfort zone for the past 2 years, really trying to push towards your destiny. But now things will finally start smoothing out. November is going to be so much different. But yeah, look to where you have Libra in your chart. That's the purging. Look to where you have Taurus in your chart. That's the blessing that's coming at the end of the month. But normally where we would want to set intentions, this is a very karmic energy in the sky. We want to be a little more receptive to the universe and just talking about that. But as we get closer, not only is the eclipse season, we're getting closer to Samhain, right? The veil is thinning. Eclipse season in general, you're supposed to get hidden secrets revealed, hidden things coming to light, illuminations. And in the month of October, where the veil is the thinnest, this is truly an amazing time of connecting with spirits, our ancestors, and just the universe and spirituality in general. So an intense, but also very spiritual, revelating, not the right word, but a kind of revelation month type of deal, but also, just connecting with the ancestors. I'm really looking forward to what Phoenix LaFay has to talk about. Again, moving into Mars in Scorpio, going into Scorpio season. This water energy is going to really help to calm some of this fiery energy in the sky. And part of water energy is, not just healing and emotions, but spirit, ancestors, connecting spiritually. So with that, again, I can't talk as good. I can't say enough about how wonderful this trip has just been, how wonderful Salem is. Just so great to finally meet the witches of Salem after these many years of working together online. So with that, I'm excited to hear about LaFay, and thank you guys for Salem and for being who you authentically are. People, just let you know, they are who they are in person as they are online. That isn't always the case with people, but they are the real thing. So with that, love you guys, big hearts, and we'll see you guys next month.
Thank you, Tim. It is, Branda, Tim did say that it is going to be good for Libra. It's going to be very positive for Libra Sun people. It is going to be refreshing. It's going to be rejuvenating. It's going to be, many things could be beginning right now. A lot of things could take off. You know what I mean? There could be a lot of new things and exciting things. So he did say privately to me that, you know, for Libra Sun people, this was going to be a big rebirth. This was going to be new things happening. So yeah. And as always, if you want to talk to Tim about your specific chart and what's happening right now planetary wise and how it affects you and all the transitions, you can contact him at his website always. So get in touch with Tim Soaring Wolf, get your chart done, get a reading. If you're in Salem right now, he's at Pentagram. You can actually sit down with him. So if you want more detailed information tailored to you, you deserve it. Go ahead and get yourself a reading with Tim Soaring Wolf. Now,
Yay.
Now, let's talk about getting in touch with our ancestors. Here are two of my absolute favorites. This would be my Nanny and Grampy. Like the couple that is goals. Hashtag goals in my life. This is them. Two people that couldn't have been happier to be happily married and have a beautiful family and had a fantastic life. My Nanny and Grampy, two of my strongest spirit allies. Absolutely amazing. Yes. And you saw my picture of Sean. I raised it up earlier. So, I mean, like, how great is that picture? Come on. Oh my God. Who's
that
this?
is my Nana and that is my Nana and my Papa. They were married. That's at their 50th wedding or anniversary.
I know.
They were married forever.
My grandpa's 50th too. Isn't that amazing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the 50th. And that's at my Auntie Lena's house. And I believe that's like my cousin Chris. We were all in front of them while they were opening their presents. But today and always, we are remembering the people that we've lost who are still with us in heart. We've realized that, like last night when they were, you know, playing the music last night, we were really, I could feel our ancestors.
Falling, absolutely
beautiful.
Falling.
Yeah, we were. It was a great night.
Missing friends, Dave Marshall. Missing, you know, friends. So friends, we've got also witch ancestors like Sally Taylor. Honoring her these days. My dad. And of course, my mom. So, yes.
Your mom.
My mom. So, and I know my mom was sitting there in the beautiful, in that beautiful balcony that we were in that was just like the best seats in the house last night. I know my mother was right there with me. I know she was right next to me. So anyways, let's bring on Phoenix. Welcome in.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, no, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on. What prompted you to write the book, What is Remembered Lives?
So I was in the shower because all of my best
good ideas
come from the shower. I was thinking about how we talk a lot about working with our ancestors. We talk a lot about working with spirits. We talk a lot about working with deities, and we sort of separate these spirits into different categories. And they are in different categories. But really, if you boil it down to the core of it, the way we communicate with our ancestors, the way we communicate with deities, the way we communicate with spirits or the fae, or however you want to look at it, angels, it's really the same process. And honestly, it's not that different from how we communicate with humans. It's about building a relationship. And so I thought, when I was a baby witch, what would have helped me have better communication with the spirit realms? And that's where the book came from, like just making it really simple. Of course, it's a complicated process, and there's things to know and maybe even some pitfalls to be aware of. But if you want to communicate with the other realms, you approach it like you want to develop a relationship. And it really isn't much more complicated than that.
I think that's important because a lot of people have this idea that deities are like pizza shops. You can call up and order what you want and be like, yeah, no pepperoni, whatever. It's not like, and what grinds my gears is when people say things like, oh, I use Hecate for this.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how this works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be sassy for a second. I think some of that is the overculture stuff, right? Because we are kind of indoctrinated into Christianity. I wasn't raised religious. But I still know a lot about Christianity and how those folks work with God, the one monotheistic presence. And, you kind of dial him up for your specific pizza. You pray for the specific thing you want. But working in polytheism and working with multiple gods, and it's not like that. Like, they might grant you a wish or help you achieve a goal, but you have to give something back. You have to give them something in return. You need to honor their spirit and their energy. A human's only going to be your friend for so long if you're always taking advantage of them. And it's the same with spirits. They're only going to deal with your nonsense for so long if you're just asking for things all the time. What do you bring to the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you going to be a friend to spirit? Or are you just going to be a pain in the ass? Can I have this? Can I have that? No, you're a friend to spirit. You have to think, when working with ancestors too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that my grandmother doesn't want to hear me whine. My grandmother wants to see me brave, strong, and do great acts. They don't want to see me go, oh, I had a tough day. Though I do whine to them often. It's the whole thing is about keeping communication open. You got to talk to the living. You're going to have to talk to the dead too. You have to talk to the gods. You have to let them know you have a voice.
Yeah. And you can absolutely lay your troubles at their feet, but you also want to lay your successes at their feet and be like, this was awesome today, or thank you for helping me achieve this goal, or whatever it is. But it's the give and the take. And it's remembering that they want a relationship with us, whatever that spirit is. They want a relationship with us.
I feel like when we talk about our beloved dead, we talk about them more in the sense of feeling their presence while we are in our trials.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily always ask them for help during those trials. I suppose some people do. I think that's where more people go to a deity. But we've often talked about if you do have a strong relationship with your ancestors, especially if they're witch ancestors or what have you, you can call upon them when you're in your trials. But at the same token, just like we're saying, not if you haven't even honored them.
Yeah.
If they're not on your home shrine, if they're not, if you don't visit any place that was important to them while they were living, or perhaps their burial place, if they chose one and wanted that, if you're not keeping up with them, then no, you wouldn't be calling on them. Likewise, if your first experience of a deity is to figure out what they're in charge of, so to speak, and then suddenly start calling on them anytime something like that comes up, they're kind of like, who are you? You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you just found out about me 5 minutes ago, and now, I'm supposed to help you find a husband or what have you. You know what I mean? It's just like, what? Like, who are you? you know,
And
at
I
least
think
your ancestors know you.
absolutely. And I think we get used to, as you know, Western culture people, we get used to the immediate, you know, like you can go on Amazon and get something that will be delivered to your house tomorrow. And the truth is, real magic is not immediate. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes your willingness to give something of yourself. And so that can also be, you know, a point of frustration, especially for folks who are new to all of this and to magic and to witchcraft. You know, if you want it to arrive on your front porch tomorrow, this might not be the path, right? Like working with spirits, working with your ancestors, this is a process that unfolds and evolves and grows and develops, and it takes time. You know,
Right.
what I have a really beautiful relationship with Dionysus, and when it started, it was awkward and clumsy, and I wasn't sure that we were going to really be friends. And now, you know, a decade or so later, we talk every day, and I feel very close to his energy, and I feel very like I can just speak to him right now and say, hey, how's it going? You know, so but it took time to get to that place of comfort. The same with my relationship with my husband, you know, like our first date was awkward and sweet and a little fumbling, and now it's 20 years later and it's comfortable and easy and smooth, right? It's
Yeah,
really not that different from how we relate to humans.
that's right. I love that.
I have
Now,
a question.
Leanne, oh,
I have
I'm
a
sorry.
question.
Go, Leanne, go.
I have a question. Like, so there are a lot of people listening, and they want to know what are a couple of good things. How
Yeah.
can they at home make connections to their ancestors? Like, how do you build an ancestral altar? I know what's on mine. It's a biscotti for Auntie Anna. So who are you remembering?
Yeah.
Who's your dead? And how can an everyday person create a very simple little altar that they can go to every day so they can build that bridge between the living and the dead?
I love this question. I love it. You know, an ancestor altar can be super simple, like Leanne said. It could be super complicated if you want, if you're more dramatic in the way you set things up. I have like a credenza, like a kitchen cabinet thing with a shelf, and the shelf is my ancestor altar. So it's a little bit bigger than like a small little space. And there's photos of my beloved dead. There's photos of my witchcraft mentors that have passed. There's photos of my grandmother. There's the ashes of my cat that passed, right? So there's a paw print of our family pet, our family dog that passed. So it has mementos of those spirits, those humans and animals that had an impact on my life that I loved. We have a photo of Anthony Bourdain on our ancestor altar because my husband's a chef.
There you
Uh,
go.
right? So
He's an
it's who
inspiration.
he totally is. He totally is. And it's who inspired you, who influenced you, who helped you become who you are. I also have stones like that are related to ancestral energy, like ammonite, things that are, you know, fossilized,
Oh,
things that
yes,
are hold that sort of
absolutely.
energetic. And
Yep.
then really all you need is a photo and a candle and a glass of water. Right? Like
Right.
if you know Aunt Irma loved cappuccino, you might make her a cappuccino and put it on the altar. If you had an ancestor that loved a cigarette, I know that's a complicated topic, but my grandfather was a smoker. I gave him cigarettes.
Right.
You
What's
know,
it
like
gonna harm now at this point?
exactly.
I have
You
I
know?
have a question. I have a really good question.
Yeah.
And it's one that it's not from, I'm not asking for a friend. I'm asking for myself. How would you recommend disposing
Mm,
of the kinds of offerings that are laid on the altar that are not safe to put out into the woods for creatures to come? Like if you obviously if you made somebody a salad and left it on, they'd be, first of all, they'd be like, a salad, but second of all, yeah, you could leave that in the woods and animals would come along and it would, but like chocolate. Okay, my mom loved Lindt chocolates, so I have a ton of them on her shrine. I have a separate shrine for my mom, separate from all of my other ancestors, because my mom deserves her own shrine. So I have tons of Lindt chocolates, but now I want to refresh them
yeah.
because I want to get her some new ones, right? So what is the way? I don't feel it's safe for me to put that out because animals should not be having chocolate.
Yeah.
So, and so many people, like even Richard Ravish, another of my witch mentors, I would leave him a Hershey bar, but when I go to refresh it, where's it safe? I don't want to throw it in the trash. It just seems so,
Yeah.
that just doesn't seem right. What do you recommend? What would you do?
It is a tricky question. And when it comes to offerings, I always feel like people need to trust their gut because there's different rules and different traditions. Like in the Hindu system, you eat the offering, right? You put it on the altar for Ganesha. Ganesha takes the spirit of the offering, and then you eat the actual fruit or the candy or whatever it is. So there's something to be said for us eating it, right? Like I know for some people that might be very cringe. So you have to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, if you aren't sure what to do and it is something you could burn, to burn it. Like
Yeah.
that's the ultimate answer for me.
My thing is with the edible stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how well chocolate would really burn. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
my mom would definitely be like, eat the chocolate. But those chocolates have been there since
Yes.
last Christmas time because she died on Christmas Day. So they've been there, those are the chocolates from, her last feast, right? So I'm kind of like, I don't want to eat chocolate that's been on the altar for a year. Like I
Yeah.
like chocolate, but not that much. So
No.
I'm struggling to try to figure out what the best thing to do with that is.
Yeah. I mean, I would wait until winter solstice or even close to the anniversary date and have a bonfire in her honor and throw it in the bonfire.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, and just burn
we won't say anything about that since it's illegal in Salem.
Yes.
So anyone that's listening, I'm not gonna have a bonfire. Just in case anyone's, listening. But thank you.
Yeah, follow the rules. Follow the rules for
Follow
sure.
Follow the rules. Don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
I wonder, you think it's, just out of curiosity, you think it's safe to throw it in the ocean?
Of course. I mean, I think that
I don't think
releasing it,
gonna come along and eat chocolate. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's going to degrade. I think that's fine.
Throw chocolate in the ocean. Is that safe? I mean, gosh, I have plenty of places
where I
to throw it in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? I live a mile from the beach, so
yeah, there you go.
Like, I can throw it in the ocean. I think I'll take the wrappers off.
Yeah.
Throw it in the ocean, and then I'll throw the wrappers away. I feel fine about throwing the wrappers away. The wrappers are not the offering.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not the wrappers. Exactly. I'm not going to throw the wrappers in the ocean.
No, you don't want that.
But I think I could probably safely throw the chocolate in there. I don't think that's going to hurt the fish.
No, I think they'll ignore it.
Third world witch problem. First world witch problem. Whatever. It's like, where do I throw the chocolate from the altar? It's just been on my mind. I'm like, I don't want to trash it. I don't want to trash it. I want to give her fresh ones. And okay. So this is the long way around to say these are the kinds of questions witches ask of each other. Go like, what do you do with the chocolate offerings? We can't put
absolutely, absolutely.
Because normally you would say to yourself like, okay, so if it's wine or honey or whatever, you're like, it's okay to give it to the woods. We have trees next to the property that we give a lot of things to and everything. Yeah. So it's like, that's common, Yeah. But with that, I've been like, oh, I don't know. I don't usually have a bowl of Lindt chocolates to try to figure out a way. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do about this. So it's I was sort of stumped, but oh, thanks, Sandy. Yes. Thank you. Sean, absolutely. Like, and I'll tell you the first time, I want to talk a little bit about mediumship. And this, of course, is Leanne's bailiwick, but I do want to talk a little bit about it. And I want to say that there was a short period of time where I worked for a shop in downtown Salem and I actually did mediumship. And I was not expecting to do mediumship in the shop. It was sprung on me by a guy by the name of Jeffrey Justice, who's no longer with us. Hi, Jeffrey. He was a psychic, but at the time he was working as a clerk, and he poked his head in the back room where I was sitting and waiting to do readings. And he said, "You have a reading. It's a half an hour." And then he disappeared. And then he leaned his head back in and said, "Oh, and it's a mediumship." And I was like, because I didn't say that I was going to do that in the store. So I was like, oh gosh, and here comes this woman. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to do this the way that I would do this if I was sitting with my coven or what have you. I just wasn't going to do it professionally, but I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do this the way that I would speak with spirit anyway. So then we get to going. And the first thing that happens is I get an image of my grandfather in my mind. This basic snapshot. So my grandfather was a Salem police officer for 30 years, defending the city of Salem. So he came immediately. Not only did his image come to me, it was that specific image in his uniform. At that point, I had to make a decision. Is this my grandfather, or is this spirit showing me an image of a police officer, or is it my grandfather showing me an image of a police? Like, I was like, okay, either way, I said, I see a police officer. So the reading goes on, and I'm not going to get into super detail, but suffice it to say that in the end, it was her son who had been a police officer. That was who she was trying to get in touch with. And so the fact that that instantly came to me, because when you say having a conversation with spirit is like having a conversation with anybody else, yes, but no, because they can't just have an easy back and forth talk where you hear everything. Not to say that we always understand the subtext of everything everyone's saying, but there's a language there with spirit that goes outside of the easy just back and forth of verbal talking, right? So sometimes when you get something given to you in spirit, you're not necessarily, there's like so many ways that could be interpreted. You have to lean more into your psychic ability and lean more into interpretation than you even do when you're speaking directly to somebody. You know, of course, there's always some kind of a subtext with humans. There's always some kind of you do kind of get into a situation where you're like, what's the motivation here? Why did this person say that or whatever? Especially if you're overly analytical like myself, you can read deep into things, but you've got to do that. You kind of have to do that all the time in spirit.
Yeah, I think mediumship adds a whole extra layer, right? Because it's not just your conversation or your process, it's you're translating, right? So yeah, I feel like mediumship is a whole other thing. And that's why, I my belief, and take it with a grain of salt, is any of us can communicate with deities, with spirits, with our ancestors, with the other realms. But actually going into a mediumship process, that's a much higher level skill that takes time to develop. You know what I mean?
Talking to other people's dead that you don't have a connection with.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have the threads that link you to that person. Leanne, take it away. This is all you, girl.
It's an interesting process trying to communicate with other people's, beloved dead. You can feel them there. And it takes a lot of meditation and a lot of belief in yourself. You have to be freaking confident as hell. You have to be able to have enough balls to say the thing that connects you to the person and willing that you're not wrong. You just need to translate it. I call mediumship, it's like the dead give me puzzle pieces, and it's my responsibility to create the picture. I don't always know where the picture goes in, and that's why we need to be sitting with people who are open, who are willing to go, see that piece you just picked up? It goes over here. It goes with Uncle Larry. Uncle Larry used to like to smoke cigars. Grandma did not. She didn't enjoy the cigar. And you kind of like put it all together. Yeah. Phoenix, do you do any form of mediumship?
Not formally.
Do you do mediumship, Phoenix?
I don't do mediumship formally. It's not something I do.
How do messages come in?
I read tarot. So I do a lot of, I allow tarot to. Oh, I missed that last thing you just said. What was that?
Oh, have you ever dreamed of the dead? Do you dream of the dead?
Absolutely. One of my witchcraft mentors actually regularly shows up in my dreams, regularly. And she gives me specific spell work to do.
Still assigning the homework. Right? I love it.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
Well,
That's
I'm
fantastic.
sorry I cut you off. You use tarot as
Yeah.
a form of mediumship. I love that. How does that work
Yeah,
for you?
I
Because
kind of,
I've done it, and a lot
yeah.
of people frown upon it.
I feel like the tarot is my safety net into opening up, right? Like it's a comfortable medium for me to open my intuition and my psychic abilities a little bit more.
Yep.
So when I'm doing a tarot reading and I'm feeling that connection with my client, I have like what I call the chorus that sort of opens up and things will drop in. I'll hear something, I'll see an image of something, something comes through that doesn't necessarily fit the cards or what the cards are saying. And I'll just be like, okay, the chorus is speaking. I don't know what this is or what it means or where it's coming from, but I'm just trusting that this message is for you.
Yep. And that's what used to happen with me too. Is when I'm doing tarot, like you said, you get really comfortable and you get in that zone
Yeah.
where things, all kinds of things open up, and there's on ramps for all kinds of things to come in and go, oh, hey, by the way, tell so-and-so I said hi. And invariably, multiple times it happened where I would be giving a reading and I would use a specific word in giving the advice to the person. And the person, I had a girl just burst into tears and I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, that was my brother's saying. My brother would say that to me all the time. She's like, there's no way that's not my brother. And I'm like, then I guess your brother's behind me looking over my shoulder and had that to say to you, because it was some expression that I used in the giving of whatever, whatever I was saying, advising regarding that card. And she was like, oh my God, that was my brother's saying. Like my brother used to say that to me all the time. And so just different things, people will key into things and like Leanne and I, pioneering using the tea leaves to speak with the dead, which no one had done. And there was absolutely zero record of it before she and I started doing it. Hence the book, Reading the Leaves. Other people might poo-poo it and go, that's not what tea leaf reading is for. Tea leaf reading is for telling the future, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, just like I've heard people make the arguments that tarot is not for mediumship. But how are you going to tell somebody that gets really good with a tool that that's not what it's for? This is like when they're researching something and something else comes out of it, how did we find penicillin? How did we find, it's like, well, we thought we were going to get this out of it, but as it turns out, we actually got this other thing out of it. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Why do you have
I feel like
it?
all of our practices were made up at some point. Someone made up everything that we do and sort of take for granted. So if it works, if it's new, if it's different, if it's a different way, is it working? Then great, right? Then you figured something out. That's awesome. I love that.
How does anything new get developed if nobody allows any development to happen? How do you take something to the next level if everybody's going to stand there and go, that doesn't get done that way? It's like somebody had to come up with the ideas that advance medicine, with the ideas that advance technology, with the ideas. I mean, you know what I mean? So why not in psychic practice? Why are we stuck 400 years ago in psychic practice? We shouldn't be. No. We should be able to develop other methods to let psychic information channel through us, and who the hell are you to tell somebody else how to get that psychic information? Particularly
it's all
when you're not doing psychic work yourself. 9 times out of 10, the person
it's so individual
isn't doing psychic work.
Totally.
So it's like, well, are you employed as a psychic right now? No? Oh, I see. But you're going to talk about somebody else that's doing that work. Oh, I like how that works, It's just like, are you kidding me right now? You don't even do this. What's your beef?
Yeah, it's such an individual process. It's such an individual practice. And, one person's way in is going to be different than another person's way in. And like I said, as long as it works, it works. That's what's important.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ultimately what we're trying to do is serve our clients, right? Ultimately,
Totally.
what we're trying to do is get the information to the person who needs it. And the
Absolutely.
client sitting across from you, when they're getting that information and it's good information and they know it is, they don't care if you got out a box of Legos and dumped them out. If they're getting the message, that's
Yeah.
all they care about. So that's all anybody should care about is the satisfaction of the person that's asking for the reading.
100%.
That's the person in charge, you know?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Tools are important. You know, we need tools to build a house. I'm sure I can I'm sure that in histories we have built structures to live in without tools. Guess what makes it more efficient,
Yeah.
more understandable, more withstanding? Tools. It's
Yeah.
okay to use our tools.
Yep, you got it. You got it. It's like it baffles me, you know, and it also, I mean, the ultimately, right, the tool is the intuition.
Yes.
Ultimately, the tool is the intuition, and that's something every person has the seed of inside of them. And
Yes.
so how do you grow that seed? So how do you recommend a new person
Mm.
who maybe they've never even thought about, connecting with, or they don't believe that they can actually connect with, and have a conversation with their dead? And I know a lot of people, they honor their dead, they remember their dead, but they don't think they can have a conversation with their
Mhm.
dead. How would you recommend that? Because a lot of them are going to say, well, I feel silly just speaking, and then
Yes.
I don't know if what I'm hearing back is
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So how do you coach people on that at all?
Yeah, I tell my students, you must speak out loud. It makes you feel silly? Great. You think that it's weird? Awesome. Do it anyway. Like, you must speak out loud. And there is something transgressive about speaking out loud to a dead person, right? If you go to Safeway in middle America and say, I'm talking out loud to my dead grandma, people are going to think you're nuts. It's transgressive. You must speak out loud. And then you just be quiet, like speak out loud, open your heart, say the thing that is true and honest in that moment. Just allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's
Yes.
a spirit
Yes.
that's, that it's okay to be vulnerable with your ancestors. They already know, they're in your blood. And then just shut up. Then just be quiet and allow impressions to come in. And you might not hear, Phoenix, I love you, I miss you. You might hear that, you might not. I don't tend to
No.
have these huge flashy moments. I get a feeling. I get a whisper. I might get the impression of an image or a color or something. Trust those little things, because the more you start to pay attention to those little impressions, those little things, the bigger messages can come through. But you have to have trust and faith in those little whispers, those little feelings. Like, when I talk to my grandfather, I often get, I smell things like cigarettes. I mentioned, I smell cigarettes. I smell hard alcohol. You get the impression of who my grandfather was. But I get these tiny impressions, and that is what keeps me going. That's what makes me know, oh yes, something is happening, we're communicating. And then it's easier to hear his voice, or to have a dream of him, or to feel like out of the corner of my eye, oh my God, he's sitting with me right now, like he's here right now. How did that happen? Right. But it's, again, don't expect it to just have to, for a ghost to appear in front of you the first time you ask for an ancestor to show up. It might happen, and fuck yeah if it does, but it's more likely to be a small thing, a little thing, and you got to trust that.
Yep. That's how I tell everyone to start. They
Yeah.
want the big thing. They want to look up in the sky and see roses come down, but it may just be a broken rose or a rose petal you find on the ground.
Yes.
It's so small. And when you say yes to it over and over, more and more come, more and
Yeah.
more. You have to acknowledge that maybe, grandma left you a dime on the ground, and you'll say, isn't that silly, Leanne? And no, you pick it up, you make a big noise about this little dime, and you say, thank you, Nana. Thank you for the dime. I'll make sure I give you a call. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
There
that's
you go.
what it.
Oh,
Yeah, we
back
have
in
to.
the day when a phone call was a dime.
Remember when the phone call was a dime? That's why I know they give me time. Because I always had to have change in my pocket, didn't I, Mom? My mother's listening right now and watching us. Hi, Mom.
Yes. Hi,
This is the
Rita.
only way. It's the only way she can see my face in October.
Too true. Too true. Too true.
It's just, this is great. This is why this season brings us all together. This final harvest where we don't, where we're dancing in the graveyards with the people we loved
Yeah.
and the animals we cared for.
Mm.
And yeah,
Yes.
it is absolutely beautiful. But someone has a quick question. Lynn my readers grab it, Sandra. I can't
Lynn
read.
Coughlin,
I
yeah,
have no readers on.
my friend Kookie. Lynn's on here. She says, I've been a medium my whole life, but tried to stop being one by using religion. I
Yeah.
finally accepted it when I turned 60. My question is, how do I stop feeling like a crazy old woman now? Well, I would say definitely to learn filters and boundaries, right? You got to learn how to
Yeah.
control it. Got to have some control over it. You can't let it run rampant and wild,
I mean, I would say embrace being a crazy old woman. Like, what's wrong with that? That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
What's wrong
well,
with that?
well, okay. I'd still learn some boundaries though.
Yes, absolutely.
Watching some people have massive amounts of anxiety because they're getting bombarded with psychic
Yes.
information, and having multiple clients sit in my chair over the years who thought they just had anxiety when honestly part of it was that they were super psychic, super highly sensitive, and were letting everything tumble into them on a daily basis. If you're psychic, you owe it to yourself to, yes, lean into your talent. Absolutely. Also hone your skill. Make sure you've got your filters for yourself, protect yourself. Otherwise you're absorbing everybody's shit constantly. So always learn how to put a boundary for yourself so you're not walking through the big why, basically like reading every single person's ancestors as they're going by you. Like, you want to be able to go to a concert with 10,000 friends, and not be talking to, 30,000 ancestors while you're there. It's like you do have to have some times when you can shut it down.
Yeah. I think it's more important
it,
when you're out in public. I think that's when it's really important and when it's good to test those boundaries, because I do have anxiety. Like, it's, something I'm really open about, and being in huge masses of people is when it really spikes. And so I've had to learn, I often wear jewelry or carry stones in my bra or pocket to sort of help diffuse some of that energetic, because it is overwhelming for me. So I think that's really smart. I totally agree 100%. Work on those boundaries on your own, in the quiet, in your private practice, and then test those boundaries when you go into big public spaces. Even like the grocery store can sometimes be overwhelming for me if I'm not paying attention to my boundaries.
Leanne had a client make her a beautiful shawl.
Ooh.
And when she gave it to her, she said, this is because you let too many people, like, too many people's energy is like muckling onto you. This shawl, when you draw it around you, this is a protection for you. And so even I'm going to recommend hematite as shutting everything down. If I put hematite bracelets on, I'm like, I'm in armor. I am in a suit of freaking armor. Hematite will bring everything down into the most absolute, and eat something. That's so nothing grounds you like kicking in your digestive system. So, basically eat something to feel grounded again, bring yourself back to your physical body. But like even having an image of something like the shawl or whatever that you can wrap around you when you're in public that makes you feel a little less visible to the spirit world, so much the better, because it can be very overwhelming to have all that bombarding you. And
I keep little packets of salt, like little throwaway packets you get at stores. I keep a bunch of them in my purse. And if I am feeling overwhelmed, I just put a little bit of salt under my tongue.
That'll kick your, that kicks your digestive. That's your whole tract there. That goes, that's good. That's a good one. I love that. I love that. But yes, one of the girls, I think Sarah said, I never put the correlation of anxiety and psychic ability together. That's really interesting. Yeah. As somebody that got diagnosed with anxiety a while back in my 30s, I mean, yesterday in my 30s. So when that happened, I was like, I do think that there's a correlation, because of course we've talked about the correlation between trauma and awakening psychic ability. And so an anxiety or PTSD or CPTSD stemming out of that trauma, you become hyper aware when you're raised in an environment where you need to be hyper aware of other people's emotions to keep yourself safe. You turn on a part of the brain that lays dormant for people that don't have to protect themselves on a daily basis that way. They can kind of go coasting through. But when you are growing up in an environment where you need to be hyper aware of other people's state of mind and state of emotion, and where you're expected to do some kind of emotional regulation work with the people around you to keep yourself safe, you develop that psychic tune-in ability to tune in to energy at a very, very young, open, impressionable age. And you unlock that at a super young age, and then you grow up and you work as a psychic.
Yeah, that's like my life. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah.
I love it.
Not only can I pick up on like how everyone, in the house is feeling, and I can understand by the way the doorknob is turned and the feet hit the floor what kind of a day it's going to be, but I can also tell you, you know what I mean? Yep. If he's ever going to call you again. Hey,
I love
there's
that.
some benefit, there's some benefit to all of that, I suppose. But yeah, it's like picking up on, just the slightest hint in the waves of the energy in a space, or, what have you. It's like, yeah, you develop these things for certain reasons.
Yeah, I think it's also really interesting to just like spin on the anxiety thing again. I've traveled quite a bit in the last couple of years, and I've had these weird moments where I walk into a place and I have a panic attack for no freaking reason. And I think it's because I'm picking up on the psychic whatever that's in that location, that's in that place. So it led me down some interesting rabbit holes of like, okay, Googling this place and what's the history of this place and why it might have sparked something within me. I think paying attention to anxiety and those feelings of something, like something's tickling, those can lead us to having better skills and having a better relationship with our intuitive selves.
How we show up for spirit is often linked to how we show up in our normal daily relationships too. And so I find that people that have an easier time being able to reach out and communicate with spirit are the same people that have an easy time connecting with humans and be able to, get into a good, authentic conversation that goes beyond, the surface. And so if you're somebody that is capable of having deeper conversations and, looks forward to those authentic moments with people, then you're going to have an easier time doing that spiritually as well, and showing up for spirit with that same authenticity of being at peace a little bit more with who you are and how you're showing up for spirit.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I feel that I get a vibe from a lot of people. Salem, obviously, especially at this time of year, is overloaded with an amazing number of people. The city has 42,000 plus residents, and then hundreds of thousands of visitors per day in the month of October, coming to, adding up to like 2 million something visitors last October. So, you want to talk about a lot of energy coming in here and a lot of people. And so, and I always, see the feedback of people that have come here for the first time, and some of them are able to embrace the kind of chaotic, wild energy, especially in parts of the city where people really congregate, like Essex Street. When when you talk to, when you see what they write about later, some people are comfortable and
Yeah.
say, oh my gosh, it was wonderful, it was wild, it was this, it was that. And then there are other people that are like, that was too much, and what time of year can I go when it's not so overrun? And it's interesting how different people process that number of humans being in a space,
Yeah.
and at different times of your life, maybe you're a little more suited to that than at other times. As you get older, maybe that's less attractive. When you're younger, maybe it's like, ooh, the kinetic excitement, like, ooh, adrenaline rush. And then you get older and you're a little bit like, whoa, so it's interesting to me to see how different people process, when we're talking about leaning into our intuition and dealing with not only who's in front of you, but imagine all the spirits that are here.
Yeah.
Because everybody that loved Salem that crossed over is like, I'm going to go visit Salem in October. So like, if you believe that spirits come back and walk around in the places they loved,
Yeah.
occasionally take a stroll through the places that were important to them, then you can only imagine the number of spirit visitors that we have in October, from and the fact that it's like, it's the final harvest and all the dead are, what I mean? It's just like, yeah, gosh, I wonder why you felt so overwhelmed. I'm just like,
Mhm.
come on, this is not rocket science, guys. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people walking around, and then there's thousands and thousands and thousands of spirits dating
Yeah.
back all the way, pre-trials. You know what I mean? This was a location
Yeah.
where the natives of this land were here. That's why there's so many Indian names of things.
Mhm.
There's so many Native American, however you want to, indigenous people, whatever we want to say. There's so many of those names of things right here. This land had people for a very, very, very long time. It was a developed area that people were able to live on for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, it was,
I think there's places in the world too that are attractors. There's like these pockets in different places of the world where they just have higher percentages of ghost activity or spirit activity or whatever. And so there's these like Salem's definitely one of these places that are drawn. There's like a vortex of energy, right?
Yes.
Where like I feel like Santa Cruz in California is another one of those places. There's a lot of vortex energy there. Sedona, Arizona.
I'm
right?
heading to Sedona November 3rd.
Right.
As soon as October's over, I'm heading to Sedona.
Yeah, there's just these places in the world that they have special energy, and I think that those are also places that can help your intuitive abilities, because the vibe of those places is just
Have you
more
been
open.
to Sedona?
I have.
adore. I can't wait to get back. I love it.
Yeah, it's
First time I
beautiful.
visited, I was in my 20s, and it just, it's always held such a wonderful little space in my heart for that Red
Yeah.
Rock. So I'm like, took my husband out there last year. I was like, you have to see Sedona. You have to see it.
Yeah.
And so we're going back because we love it so much.
Yeah, it's a very magical place. It's you can feel the vibe. It's like it's different. I was just in Salem for the first time at the end of September. There's a vibe. There is a vibe. It's really interesting, and it's very different than Sedona, but you can feel it. There's magic in the air. It's lovely.
Yeah,
we loved having you. Thank you.
It
for
was
being
great.
there.
It was so much fun. I can't wait to come back.
Awesome.
You taught a class on Celtic weapons?
No, she did.
Oh no, I'm
magical
sorry.
bath.
What class was your class?
We talked about being a spiritual rebel.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm all about being a heretic.
It was great.
I
It
love
really
that.
was. It was very empowering.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. And is
Yeah.
that available online?
Yes, it is. It is
so people
available
can go
on
back and watch that?
Crowdcast. Yes, they can.
On Crowdcast, right? So if they go
Yep.
to pentagramsalem.com
And
and they surf over to classes,
yeah, they
and then
can
they can pick the class, right?
Yes, and it was fantastic. I learned a lot.
Nice.
Wonderful.
It
Love
is.
that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What's on the horizon for you? What's the next thing?
Well, October is very busy for us witches. So I have a little shop in Sebastopol, California called Milk and Honey. And we're having a psychic fair on Friday night. That's tomorrow.
Wow, right? Gosh, the days go by, don't they?
Yeah, and I'm doing a whole bunch of workshops this month on magic and spell casting, and we're hosting a public Samhain ritual. So it's the season of the witch, and so we're taking advantage of that. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Please tell me your Samhain ritual is free for people to come to.
There
Please.
is a cost because of the building. We're having it at a building. So it's just to cover the cost of the building. And no one's turned away for lack of funds.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
Can people get in maybe if they donate like a food item for the food
Oh,
bank
totally.
or something
Totally.
like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for these people that are like getting ripped off, paying so much money to go, jeez. Leanne, you teach mediumship. Is your mediumship class also available on Crowdcast?
No, it is not, but it's going to be offered in the month of December.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then
Lynn,
it'll
you
be
should tune
offered.
into that.
Then it'll be offered again. Next year. It'll probably be offered in October as well. So
Nice.
yeah, Sharon and Karen, I hope everyone has a wonderful Halloween, Samhain.
Yes.
Holiday,
Yeah.
Hope you have a beautiful, beautiful ritual. And may your ancestors visit you and give you many blessings.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for being on with us. It was a fantastic conversation. I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. And of course, it's going to be archived on the YouTube page so people can go back. So you can send your peeps to go ahead and watch it on the YouTube, on the Psychic Tea YouTube. And or they can catch it at Gallows Hill Witchery on Facebook because I posted it. And Leanne, did you post it on Pentagram or where?
Yes, it'll be available on Pentagram, our Facebook page, and also Zodiac Tea Room.
Nice. So anybody that didn't get to catch it live and wasn't able to to weigh in the chat, you can always watch it. You can watch the replay and still get quite a lot out of it. So. And now, where are you reachable if somebody wanted to reach out to you? And what's your website?
Yeah, so Phoenix LaFay, just like my name. That's my website. That's my email address. That's my Instagram handle. That you can find me under that name all over the interwebs.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, as always, we have run over time. Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Lasky, our producer. Thank you, Lou, for hanging in there. Shout out to Tim Soaringwolf, who's visiting, Salem for the first time and enjoying and reading at Pentagram. So go down and if you're in the area and you want to come see me at Gallows Hill Witchery, you can book a private appointment. And if you're not in the area and you want to spend time with me on Zoom, you can book that too at my website, gallowshillwitchery.com. So you can have your own private boutique witchcraft crystals and jewelry shopping experience from your own area. You could be sitting in your recliner with your coffee and shopping one-on-one with me and talking one-on-one about what crystals will help you with what you're tackling in your life right now. So
awesome. Have a good time,
everybody.
See ya.
It's only right that you should play the way you feel it. Listen carefully to the sound.